2016 study, as reported by NPR, teacher stress levels are now similar to stress levels reported by nurses and physicians. How many of y'all feel stress? How many of y'all feel stressed right now?
Hey.
Now, have any of y'all ever had to speak publicly, like speak to other, like in front of a crowd or in front of a classroom of kids or something like that? There's something called your attitude, which I don't mean your attitude, but your attitude when you're speaking. And there can be barriers to your attitude that you present to people. And it can be things such as fear, stress, exhaustion, or your inside or your outside noises that can be barrier attitudes. Having anxiety over test scores or lesson plans may trickle down to your students. As teachers, which y'all are all teachers, we we tend to get stressed out and we tend to pass that to our students, and they feel it. They're going to know when you're stressed out. I experience anxiety over speaking. I start to speak too quickly. I start saying a lot. I go way over time, and and it's because I have too much inside noise. I see all this, and then I start thinking of something else. So it gets distracting, and it affects how I speak. Our attitudes and our emotional noise, they're a major hurdle to successful speaking. So there are techniques that can help you and help you be productive with your students, because you don't want your students to feel what you're feeling all the time. Sources of your emotional noise can be low self-esteem. It can be anxiety. You can personally identify with your topic of conversation. You can just be distracted. You can have a bill that's due that you forgot, or you don't know if you turned the hair dryer off. Those can affect you, and they can affect what you communicate to your students. It's proven that students perceive moods and emotions that you're experiencing. Christine Marsh, who is the 2016 Teacher of the Year for Arizona Education Foundation, said that teachers can't really fool students, so it's best not to even try. Students can and do feel their teacher attitudes. Here we have a cross-section from a study that was done on how teachers affects on student academics, performance, and attitudes and behaviors. This is a standard deviation of the mean when it was calculated how students felt. Out of 310 teachers with 10,000 students, the deviation was 18% when it came to a high-stakes math test. Their happiness in the class deviated by 31% when it came to a test or things like that. That's a big difference. Stressors in the classroom really, really affect the students. Teachers can use multiple techniques to alleviate the stress and the emotional noise, and to be able to make yourself comfortable to be able to get in front of your students and speak. You can use deep breathing, you can use meditation, or just get into a routine of doing the same thing over and over again. So if you go off course, you're fine. The number one most effective method is the buddy system with other teachers. This basically just means go out, find a teacher that's similar to what you're doing, grade level or whatever, and be their buddy. Support each other, lean against each other. If they're working on something and you're on the similar project, cross and share ideas. So by buddying up, you're going to have someone to bounce the ideas off of, talk through your fears, or even hold you accountable. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, this teacher over here teaching the same grade is probably going to call you out on it. If you have that buddy technique system, if you just say hi in the morning and you go in your room and no one talks, you're not gonna know what's going on. The breathing and the meditation, they'll help you bring a sense of calm. Your students are out of control. You're in front of the room trying to talk to them, and you can't. Breathe. Take a minute. Count a little bit. Get yourself back on track. Routine is going to help you relax. We all know that. Over and over again, doing it the same way, doing it at the same speed. It'll help you relax, and if you have to go on an autopilot, you're still going to get the job done. So we really want to work on building routines. Other teachers can relate. Robin at Prague Public Schools in Oklahoma, she felt the same way about building routines. Between her OCD and anxiety, having her plans written out and prepared with all her supplies helps her mentally both the day before, during, all through the day. Lauren P., an English teacher of 9th grade, came across the buddy solution. She had a panic attack in the classroom right before second period, and her interventionist that she works with took over and let her go calm down. She had a buddy, someone who could support her, help her out. So if you're doing this by yourself, the odds of making it are not as good. By having a plan and a routine to go through day by day, running through calming techniques like breathing and meditation, teachers have less anxiety towards speaking and student interaction, and more positivity towards their jobs. Recall back to the beginning the NPR study that teachers are experiencing just as much stress as nurses and physicians. That's monumental. This is a nurse who's in charge of a life, but this is a teacher who's also in charge of a life. And they're experiencing the same amount of stress. That's huge. So to put these ideas into action, contact other teachers in your grade level. Seek out their feedback, collaborate, share what works. Go get coffee together, have dinner together, invite somebody over your house to go over your lesson plans. Basically, build yourself a friend and a colleague. Join a gym or a yoga studio and practice the deep breathing and the meditative techniques. Plan, plan, plan. That can't be stressed enough. Practice your routine ahead of time. That's not just, administrators being jerks saying you need to be planning it ahead of time. This is so you'll be an effective teacher. If you know what you're doing and you've planned ahead, then you're going to be able to impact your information onto your students. Build yourself a support structure. That's super important. Your coworkers are your support structure, but you have to put in the work to build the structure. You can't just go to this person that you don't know and say, I'm having a bad day. I mean, you can, but it's not going to mean the same thing. If you put in the effort, if you reach out to your coworkers now instead of waiting when you're in the ditch, you can only benefit, and you benefit from shared knowledge and support. If I don't know something and you do, we all win because I can go to you or you can come to me. It's that simple. How do we make this happen? Schedule your weekly get-together. Set up a time, touch base, talk through your concerns and your achievements. Try to get to know one another outside of the workplace. Like I said, go get coffee, go get some Starbucks. Build your own social network with other teachers. A lot of teachers don't like to be on social media because it's tricky and it can backfire. But if you build a social network of just your teacher friends, there's nothing wrong with that. You can see what's going on, be involved in that way. There's a way to block things as well. Keep your door open and make time for chatting. Don't just go in your classroom and shut the door and lock down. You have to be aware of what's going on, and you have to be social to an extent. All of this is going to help you set you at ease and make interactions easier in the future for you and for all of your coworkers. So take time to take this out into the real world. Remember, your students feel what you feel. Okay, so if you're having a bad day, they're probably going to have a bad day too. In the future, we hope you'll feel more at home with your students and coworkers. Get out and get to know your fellow teachers. Give yourself a goal. Meet one new faculty member today. Teachers are tied with nurses and having the biggest level of stress. Third time I've mentioned that because it is so important. They're not the only ones feeling anxiety from speaking in public. With support and these techniques, you can quiet your inner noise and improve your teaching attitude. So in our speech today, we've heard from Cooper first with information overload and how to overcome. Haley took our second spot with lack of common experience, and I took our last spot and discussed attitudes and speaking and their effects. Hopefully you can take the ideas from our entire team out into the world and make it a stronger, more successful school year.